like to welcome you to our New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary's Bible and Archaeology Museum. My name is Dr. Bill Warren. We're delighted to have you here. This is actually the culmination of a dream that we've had for many years, with the possibility of having it come about right at the time that Katrina hit, and so the plans had to be postponed, but now they've become a reality. Let's look at what we have in our museum. We're going to begin by looking at how books were made in the ancient world. And you'll see how papyrus here was made, and we bring it from a plant, and then it becomes a writing material. And then when we find it, we actually have to recover the text, rehydrate it, in order to find the papyrus fragments that we have today, all of which have actually been found within the last 130 years. And so it's a fairly recent discovery on our biblical texts. As you'll see, they move from papyrus being used in a scroll to papyrus being used in a book form, what we call a codex. Now on the wall here, what you're seeing is a Hebrew manuscript of the Torah, one of the first 5 books of our Bible, the Law as we call it. And this is an actual scroll. Most Jewish writings traditionally have tried to use a scroll for their public reading on this. And then you also see the Esther scroll. This is one of our prized possessions, over 400 years old, and it includes the entire book of Esther. Notice how the handwriting looks almost like a machine had made it. 2 of our most valuable codices for the Old Testament are the Leningrad Codex and the Aleppo Codex, and these are the 2 that you're looking at now. And as we look at those, these are the foundations of the Old Testament text as we print it today, with other input from sources like the Greek Old Testament and the Dead Sea Scrolls. As we move to the Greek text of our Bible, one of our major manuscripts is called Codex Sinaiticus. This is the earliest known copy that we have of the entire New Testament, and actually the only full copy of the entire New Testament before the year 800. It also includes most of the Old Testament and dates to around 350, the first part, middle part of the 4th century. Our next manuscript is Codex Vaticanus, and it's from the early part of the 4th century and includes most of the New Testament as well. Notice how the text is written in such a clear manner. These are professional manuscripts. The cost for a manuscript like Codex Sinaiticus would have been the equivalent of 15 to 20 years worth of wages. As we move down on the Greek text, you'll see one that's a bilingual Codex Visa, and as we're looking at this bilingual text, they have Greek on one side, Latin on the other side. And that's because as the church expands, they're needing to have the text in other languages. It's the missionary enterprise of the church that moves us forward with the translations. We also learn about the context of the Bible by looking at some of the archaeological artifacts. And we see how life was lived on a daily basis in the biblical times, the types of materials they're using, how they had to make lamps, and how they were using those lamps. As we consider some of their tools, it gives us a glimpse into life in the biblical time period. We also have a number of Latin manuscripts, including this Gutenberg page that you're looking at now. This is an original page from the first printed Bible coming off the printing press. The Gutenberg Bible revolutionized the making of Bibles because now multiple copies could be made that would be virtually identical. You also see some other pages from handwritten manuscripts, and these are from Psalters and a lectionary text. The Latin Bible was the dominant Bible in the Western Church, and you can see 2 examples as well. One is a Latin copy of the book of Revelation, and it's sort of the illustrated Bible version. They didn't get to finish this text, as you can see, but they were well on their way to making it. This was a painstaking work and involves commentary as well as the text. As we move to the English Bible, we find that in the English Bible during the time of the Reformation, they start creating Bibles with multiple languages. So you see one here that has a large number of languages as they return to the original sources. Our English Bibles then start taking place, and you can see the Geneva Bible, the Bishop's Bible. These are some of the Bibles that came before the King James Version. And they actually give the reason for making the King James Bible, as King James wanted a Bible that was not as Calvinistic as the Geneva, but would be more accepted than the Bishop's Bible. And so we end our tour by looking at one of the earliest printings of the King James Bible. This one's from 1617, the third printing of the Bible, the King James Bible. What an epic in the making of Bibles. It put us on the path to using a committee, using the best scholars possible, and trying to do the best job possible. And that's how modern translations are made. So I hope you've enjoyed our journey as we moved from papyrus to the printed text.